Greetings. Welcome back, my friends. Andy here. In this next section, we're going to go into more information about the deal's pipeline structure. It's broken down into three different sections. Number one is going to be the deal stages. Very similar to the contact stages, we could find this in the same pipeline, but these are going to be specific to how the deal progresses from discovery phase all the way to closure. The next section is we're going to discuss more information about what actions can we take in order to ensure that our pipeline process is as efficient as possible, and what parameters can we optimize for in order to remain nimble and flexible. Finally is a discussion on the analytics, dashboards, and forecasting. This is actually going to have its own video simply because there's a lot more complexity and nuances to discuss that are worth attention in its own separate form. So let's get started. To begin with, it's the deal stages. So the deal stages are broken down from new contact, which the new contact would just be in the same type of stage process we discussed previously. People that we have either on our target list that we want to go after, but we haven't actually come up with a deal yet. Then there's the exploration and due diligence phase. This is where we are wanting to figure out what can we do with this person. Now, these pipeline stages are actually meant to be able to support both a grant applicant as well as a potential biz dev partnership. I've left it pretty general, so that way then we can just have a toggled view where we'll filter it out based upon is it a grant applicant or is it a business partnership. But then we can still have an aggregated workflow that allows us to be able to create some nice visualizations to track everything. Next step would be when we're actually executing on a project or whatever specific tasks might be involved. This is where we'd want to have integrations with the task management system. Ideally, we would want to build this into this same CRM platform. But at the same time, if the organization is already using a separate task management system, that's no problem at all. We can also integrate it there. The idea here is to make sure that whatever actions are required from different people, we can have it all lined up so that way there's clear expectations of what's needed to ensure that we maintain the proper timelines without having a runaround or a bunch of meetings or needing, potentially falling behind and having something fall through the cracks. Finally would be a milestone review. This would be, especially particular for the grant management program, because in this case here, once an applicant submits their milestone, we need to make sure that the appropriate parties within the tech team and legal team are able to go in and ensure that everything was set up properly, that we're doing everything with proper compliance, and that accounting actually pays out to the person. The stage is also useful for the actual partnership delivery, because it's something that as we're doing different activities, maybe it's sponsoring an event, or perhaps we have some type of a collaborative digital hackathon, or maybe it's as simple as writing an article, doing an AMA with a project, or setting up an integration. We want to have an opportunity to be able to assess and collect feedback, a chance to find out what things went well, what didn't go well, and to save that information in a place that we can aggregate all of it and search for trends to find out how we can add as much value as possible to everything we're doing. And finally, just like with the contact stage, closure, where we assess what are the next steps, if there are any, and we make sure to tag all associated contacts so that way we can reach out to them in the future for referrals and other suggestions and feedback. In terms of optimizing the pipeline, it's something where we want to be able to consider, first of all, a timeline. So anytime that an agreement is made, we want to make sure that it's not just a dangling conversation. Instead, we want to have it so that if a biz dev associate is speaking with a potential partner, that they have a timeline on, well, when are we following up with them next? When can we expect to hear from them? What are the next actions required from our side? Are we waiting for something on their side? So this way we can set up a proper forecast to determine what does our overall pipeline look like. Next, we'd be able to make sure that we have clarity and are in alignment on what are the actual objectives of this deal. So if it's a marketing partnership, then the objective is going to be some type of community growth that would insinuate that there's a specific target audience that we're going after. Are you wanting to attract investors? Are we looking for developers? Are we looking to attract more partnerships, grant participants? Depending on what the objective is, it's going to potentially change the way, or at least it's worth considering, what are the best actions we can take to get there. This also includes the expected outcome. It's important that whenever we're doing something, we're thinking it through all the way to determine what type of value creation are we hoping to achieve. So that way, once we've actually fulfilled and met with closure on that deal, we can assess, have we reached our expectations or not? At which case we can then optimize our systems further. Finally is resourcing requirements. So of course, those same limitations discussed, time, capital, and capabilities, those limitations affect us as well as an organization. So by being able to take into consideration, if we're doing a sponsorship, how much is that probably going to cost? How many associates do we want to bring? What type of a package do we want to be going with? If it's going to be something even simple like a marketing collaboration, how much labor time might that require? Do we need a graphic designer or a copywriter? Or is this something that the other party is going to be taking care of most of the labor? These types of data points are worth consideration, so that way we can ensure everything continues to run smoothly. In the next section, I'm going to be talking more about the analytics and forecasting side of things. There's a lot of cool details that goes into that and some pretty unique things that we can do inside of a CRM system, some tips and tricks that I picked up from the performance advertising space. So I'm excited to share that information with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, bye for now, y'all.